YouTube's taking a while. I'm on YouTube, Keep Arkansas Legal, YouTube the same, Gab, and Parler. So I'm sharing this out. I'm going to wait for a few people to get online here. I guess I will start this at maybe 9:05. Y'all like, share, comment. If you don't get notifications from me, get notifications. I will try to get, if someone wants to go on camera, I'll try to do it if I know them. A lot of stuff going on, but I want to talk about the one thing that's going on that everyone seems to be focused on, and that is the coronavirus. Music is from Wolf's Rain, Lord Darsha. And I don't own the copyrights. Wolf's Rain, one of the greatest animes ever made. How's my music? Hey, Rick. Hey, Caroline. Hey, Dwayne. Not in the car this time. Oh, my goodness. Well, folks, it has been an insane week, day, month, year. Oh, man. Start off with the Wuhan virus, and then that progressed on to well, I guess since it is an election year, Democrats certainly can't talk about their record. So now they're dealing with this latest incident, which seemed to have occurred at almost perfect timing to bail out the what was the failing Wuhan virus agenda of trying to shut down businesses. Lots of people were already, and I think they don't like our outstanding. Is it? I don't know what you're trying to say there, cat and dog lover. Yeah, BLM. That's kind of the thing I'm going to talk about. Is there's an organization called BLM known as Black Lives Matter. That's what they call themselves. And Black Lives Matter is leading the new protests over the murder of George Floyd. For those who don't know, George Floyd was a black guy in Minneapolis, Minnesota, who may or may not have been involved with some kind of counterfeit money scheme. They're claiming that he may have been found with counterfeit money, and he may have had some other stuff in the past. But he was murdered in the streets of Minneapolis by one cop named Derek Chauvin. I don't know if I'm mispronouncing his name. It doesn't matter. Derek Chauvin murdered George Floyd by putting his knee on his neck and suffocating him well beyond the limits of what a human body can endure. As a matter of fact, he was choked 2 minutes after he lost his pulse. And usually after about, you lose blood to the brain after a couple of minutes, you get brain damage, and beyond that is death. And honestly, it's really weird about what's going on. Hey, Scott, feel free to like, share, and comment. Invite some other people online. I'm actually going to do that right now on my Facebook page. I got my laptop right here next to me, so if you see me looking at it, that's what I'm looking at. I posted a couple links. One is some of my encounters with the police. Some of my instances where I've had to deal with police. Is not as extreme as obviously what has happened, but it is something that I wanted to share with folks just so people know. Yeah, everybody in some way or form has to deal with the police at some point in time, and sometimes it may not be good, sometimes it may be bad, it may be something lethal even. So I'm going to post the link to share with others. So what you can do is you can take this link, even if you're busy, copy it, paste it, and go somewhere else. Let me put this on Gab. which is an alternative to Facebook. Facebook deliberately limits my broadcasts in particular because I've been a conservative. Yeah, Kevin, I was just saying that. Yeah, I posted to an alternative to Twitter called Gab and another one called Parler. And they're not as popular as Facebook, so I'm still using it. But of course, they have a few more people that get on there. And then, of course, I posted a bunch of other. Yeah, of course they are. Whoa. I think one of my cameras may be off a little bit. Let me adjust this phone here. I got kind of a halo thing going with my phone. And I set this up. This is basically my computer room, and it's got a / storage area. It's got a bunch of crap here that needs to be probably donated or thrown away. All electronics. Got some, I think it's a machete. I think it's a machete in the background there, and some other posters. Above is, of course, Ronald Reagan, guy who fought against. Yeah, Facebook does a lot of way of censoring people. Sometimes they'll hide your comments. I actually have a video of where I was commenting on, I think, a CNN broadcast of one of the Democrat debates, and it was, to me, it showed me as my comment showing up. But then when I checked, when I had Rebecca, my girlfriend, look at what was the broadcast, it wasn't there. So Facebook does a lot of ways of shadow banning. They'll say you'll show you're making a comment, but in reality you're not. And yeah, they'll kick people off. They'll cut broadcasts. They cut the broadcast to Ted Cruz, and he was talking to hey Erica, when he was talking to Rosenstein about that FISA court crap. But the thing I wanted to focus on is, of course, the Black Lives Matter thing. And I want to focus on what they actually are supposedly believe in. Because they call themselves Black Lives Matter, and they claim that everything they do is in regards to injustice that is done to black people. And what I have seen from them in the past and from now is that they seem to care more about hating Trump's whites in the USA. They seem to care more about hatred than actually black lives. What I've seen is that every time of these protests, first they do the hands up, don't shoot chant, which is a line that was supposedly used by Michael Brown when he was surrendering to a police officer in Ferguson, Missouri. Of course, that was witnessed by one person. Every other witness, the Obama FBI, and every other investigation showed that Michael Brown tried to punch and beat up the cop, and this was after he had punched and beat up a gas station owner. Some guy, I think his name was Muhammad. He was some Muslim guy that, of course, nobody in the media cares about. In other words, it was most likely a lie. Hands up, don't shoot was a lie. It was made up. Hey, Bria. I'm sorry. That's what the police investigated. That's what the FBI said. That's what every other witness there said. So they chant this hands up, don't shoot thing. They repeat it over and over again, hoping it'll become true. Hey, Sarah. And then they use another popular chant is F the police. And you can kind of, in case you can kind of figure out what F stands for. Of course, if you watch the video, you know what it stands for. If you're going to chant F the police, you really can't expect to have a peaceful protest. But more importantly, they seem to, again, care more about hating the police than hating, let's say, drug dealers, people who sell poison to little kids and often wind up being the reason where most black people get shot. There's so many deaths in Chicago and in these blue cities and states, whether usually it's kids shooting each other over drug territory or avenging a previous murder regarding that, or a gang turf war. That's usually what it is, and then innocent bystanders that get killed, little kids or grandma that happens to be in the way, or sometimes they're directly even targeted because these people are just downright evil. It's It's mainly crack, cocaine, and of course the cocaine mainly comes across the Mexican border via truck across bridges that should have been blown up when Trump first came to office. I don't know what's going on with the comments, Kevin. Like I said, Facebook likes to censor. What I do is I go into Parler and Gab, and I'm checking them. I'll check them so I can see what's going on. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not Lord Zuckerberg. I'm far from his power in terms of what we can do. And I mean, there's this. But anyway, BLM has done these protests before, as I mentioned before. They did them in Ferguson, and what they happened in Ferguson, a bunch of Antifa folks showed up, and they started riots. They lit fires. Usually, a bunch of pasty, fat, or lanky-looking white dudes come out of their grandma's basement, getting a check from George Soros to light stuff on fire and smash some windows. And then BLM, and then other kids who don't have fathers, have grown up in the gangster culture, and likely have a drug habit, end up coming in and stealing stuff. And usually you have kind of a mixture of the two, joining forces basically. And now you've had pretty much the same thing again, only now BLM is some of the BLM organizers have kind of tried to stop a little bit of the violence and the loot of the riots and looting. The ones here in Little Rock, Arkansas, they had it for about 2-3 days, and well, that's true, but it doesn't negate the fact that most blacks are killed because they're fighting each other over crack cocaine. And legalizing crack cocaine is not going to solve the problem, just like legalizing liquor didn't really cause, it didn't shut down the mob. It did, allow some freedoms and it took away some police power. But it didn't end crime. It didn't end the violence. And matter of fact, one of the things I try to focus on is people need to focus on is the real problem, which is corrupt government officials. In Prohibition, corrupt government officials allowed Al Capone to run Chicago. He stayed in that big penthouse hotel. Everybody knew where he was, but they let him buy off the mayor and the local police and a lot of the city council and, of course, the cowardly newspaper there. And then when he did the St. Valentine's Massacre, they should have sent in the National Guard and basically arrested or shot and killed the corrupt mayor there in Chicago and a lot of the other politicians. Instead, they used it as an excuse to ban full auto weapons. Before then, you could order a Tommy gun using a full auto 45 caliber with a drum, as much magazines and ammo as you wanted, by mail and have it delivered to you without any background check. It was actually popular with ranchers. And then after the St. Valentine's Day Massacre and all the other violence over alcohol, they did that ban. And see, this is one of the things that I'm angry about is that Black Lives Matter, instead of focusing on the real problem, which is people shooting each other over drugs, and to a greater extent, corrupt government officials allowing those drugs to come in here. Because just like the war on alcohol back in Prohibition, the same deep state are starting and deliberately losing the war on drugs. They are keeping the border open. They're keeping these ships coming in from China with tons of fentanyl. They're keeping tons of cocaine that come across the border. We know we're here in Arkansas. If you know Mena, Arkansas, they help facilitate that. The CIA did that in order to fund their stupid failed projects in Central and South America, supposedly to fight communism, but it quickly deteriorated as a way to poison mainly the poor, because that's who the narcotics trafficked. The crack cocaine usually goes in the black neighborhoods, and then now we got meth going in the poor white neighborhoods. And you have if you watch Meth Storm USA, the opening scene is a red hatchback in a police chase that crashes, and later on it's revealed that red hatchback is driven by a Mexican here illegally smuggling meth, and I think it's Clinton, Arkansas, and they're poisoning us. But of course, Black Lives Matter, just like the other leftist groups that claim to be the spokespeople for the poor, don't care about that. And not only that, but they seem to get pissed off at people who do. They seem to get angry. I've seen this when I've gotten into some kind of comments, because I've commented on some of the broadcasts from KTV and KTV7 when they do marches and in and around Little Rock, and when Mayor Frank Scott Jr. and Chief Humphreys, those two idiots who already should have been impeached long before, recalled from office long before this, tried to appease the Black Lives Matter mob. I guess Frank Scott Jr. thought if he did a Martin Luther King-like march, or he could be the next Obama and, catapult his political career. Instead, they just started throwing crap at him, and he had to get to his big Tahoe and have his expensive, overpriced security haul him out of there. And then he did 2 press conferences later on where he said he was caught up in the moment. And of course, Chief Humphreys gave his little stupid comments. They had also said that it was okay to block the interstate, which is not. Is another form of appeasement. I don't know where Frank Scott Jr. and Chief Humphreys are now. As I understand it now, basically Asa Hutchinson had to come in, our Republican governor who cannot afford to have the city of Little Rock and the state fall apart, because he's going to try to sell a tax increase in November. Yeah, that's coming down the pike. Hopefully enough people are so sick and tired of government, and sadly a lot of businesses closed, they'll realize that we need a relief in form of a sales tax reduction that was promised to us. But anyway, I don't know where they're at then. Maybe they're at Chief Humphrey's girlfriend's house, or maybe they're somewhere else. I don't know. But Black Lives Matter doesn't seem to care about the damage that's caused by the drug industry, the legal and illegal drug industry. Paul Calvert, as you mentioned before, a lot of the legal pharmaceuticals are at fault. They don't seem to care about the gangster culture. Folks, if your culture is so destructive and evil that it destroys the family unit, and you can't raise your kid without them turning into either a prostitute or a drug user or a thief, if there's no moral compass, then nothing else really matters. What you do with the police, whether you have a military police state or defund and get rid of all the police altogether, it isn't going to matter. Well, it's not a fuel tax hike, Kevin. The tax that's coming down the line is going to be a sales tax. Well, actually, it is a fuel tax. It's a tax on everything you buy, and it's an anti-small business tax. It was actually increased a few years ago for road projects, and it's supposed to decrease in 2022. But the Arkansas, of course, whenever you hear a politician say this tax increase will sunset, they are lying to you. They will find a way to offset that tax increase. Either they will continue that tax increase, or they will use it as a justification to increase taxes somewhere else. Every time a politician says this tax increase will sunset, they are lying to you. So now it's Arkansas issue 1, and you need to vote against it. It's going to take money from these businesses that have already been damaged by the Wuhan virus, and the Black Lives Matter using George Floyd as an excuse to trash the place and start racial tension. And it's going to give it to the Arkansas Department of Transportation, the same idiots who have made Arkansas one of the laughingstock regarding roads for years now. They've turned Jacksonville into an orange cone playground. They've turned other places into the same. They've spent money on stupid pet projects like $1 million tech park, $1 million building in a tech park, I think for Fayetteville School District. And of course, the ridiculous salaries. Yeah. And so, no, they don't deserve more money. We don't need to give more money to more government. And again, if Black Lives Matter are actually clear about black lives, they'd be going after corrupt government officials. They'd be doing what the people in Puerto Rico did. A lot of people, the media has done a great job of trying to get people to forget about Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico was hit with a hurricane, I think, either last year or the year before last. It was when Trump was in office. I want to say it was 2017. And after they got hit with this hurricane, the media and some of these minority self-appointed spokesmen for minority groups started to blame the Republican president, because that's what they did with Katrina, and they were successful in blaming Bush for all the problems in New Orleans regarding Katrina. and they gave the New Orleans Levy Commission and that crooked Johnson, I think his name was Congressman Johnson, he was the one with $19,000 in his freezer, and he used the Army National Guard to get the money out instead of rescuing people. And of course, the idiot mayor of New Orleans, he left all the buses there and they got flooded. And I think the FEMA trailers got messed up or misused or misplaced. All that crap happened. Most of that crap that happened in Katrina that killed and harmed a bunch of black folks was done because of local Democrat politicians. The mayors, the New Orleans Levy Commission, the congressmen, the city council people, they were lazy, crooked bastards, and they let black people die. But again, the leftist people and the people who, I don't know if Black Lives Matter was around then during Katrina, but the people have made this basically where it's the leftist activists. This is these are basically the Black Panther Party renamed. And they didn't give a damn about the real harm that was done to blacks by those stupid, corrupt politicians. All they did was blame Bush and Bush this and Bush that. They even got Kanye West who said that black people don't matter. Kanye West has grown up, by the way. That's why I have Blexit there as a hashtag, because Kanye West used to think like most other blacks, that Republicans all hated black people. And they were able to push that message with Katrina. They pushed that narrative. Well, now they tried it again with Puerto Rico. Only this time, instead of having Karl Rove command George Bush to, let the media set the narrative, Donald Trump came out in front and said, no, I sent the relief aid. I sent aid to Puerto Rico. I've tried to help Puerto Rico. The problem is the local politicians. And this time, the local politicians in Puerto Rico at the time, they forced their governor there to resign, and they forced other political operatives to resign. And it turns out that there was an earthquake that happened, I think, either this year or last year, and a bunch of people started running around looking for supplies, and they found out in the warehouses that these Democrat politicians had taken the resources that had been sent to Puerto Rico, and they'd put them in a bunch of warehouses to make their own people suffer so they could blame Trump. So Trump is not accepting the narratives that go around that know that every time minorities suffer, it's because of him. He's refusing to accept that narrative, and he's standing against it. He's fighting against it. But the problem is there's still a lot of people that believe in Black Lives Matter in these other racial organizations. There's other organizations besides them. There's the NAACP, the ACLU. Here in Arkansas, we have the Advocates for Children and Poor Families group, and they're basically nothing but cowardly leftists that trying to find a way to get more money and power to government and blame conservatives and hate on conservatives, hate on Republicans, hate on Republicans in general, and especially conservatives. And they're cowards on this issue. And they keep doing this over and over again, and they get away with it. And what I'm sad is I see a lot of, young people there getting this, being told that, Black Lives Matter actually cares about Black lives. They don't care about Black lives, because if they did, they would be standing in the front and the office of, some of these crooked local politicians. They would be going after these idiots in Flint, Michigan. Remember what happened there? The water apparently contained lead, and it was because of crappy water systems. And they had to get water bottles over there. And of course, they tried the same thing again. They tried to blame Trump. And then Trump says, no, it's not the fault. It's not my fault. It's these crappy politicians. Hey, Ashley on YouTube. Y'all can go to my YouTube page, Keep Arkansas Legal, where I'm also live streaming this if you don't see your comments here. There's ways to put on a, what do you call it? Double screen or split screen, but I don't know how to do it. I don't have this. I have a computer, but I'm using my phone to do this. Oh crap! And I'm trying to put comments on YouTube, and I'm well above the limit here. Hold on just a second. Of course. Y'all, I'm actually putting up my Fundly page. If y'all like what you see here, you can donate to fundly.com. My Fundly page, it's like Kickstarter or GoFundMe. I've had problems with those and trying to fund. And that's what I was about to get to, Kevin. That's another thing. Of course, adult blacks are usually killed mainly by shootouts over cocaine. That's brought in from the Mexican border from bridges that Trump should have blown up. And yes, I do disagree with Trump, and I think he should have done more to do that. I think he should have dynamited the bridges that connect America with the narco state of Mexico. And if you do trade with Mexico, whatever financial benefit we get, it's not worth it. Same thing with boats in from China. Should have shut off all trade with them and trade with legitimate countries. Yeah, I can disagree with Trump and still vote for him. You have the ability to do that. Hey, Billy. Hope things are going good out there. I think it feels like a sauna outside. I was out there for just a little bit. I'm also on Parler and Gab, for those who don't know. Yeah, like, share, and comment. Feel free to let other folks know. But anyway, the thing that kills more blacks than anything, boy and girl, and any other gender. No, wait. Well, I don't believe in there's being more than two genders, but is abortion. Most blacks are murdered before, as unborn, thanks to the same court system that declared black people property over a little over a century ago in the Dred Scott case, declared unborn people inhuman, and thus allowed them to be murdered via abortion. And it's bad enough if that were just the case in and of itself statistically, but it gets even worse. The main organization that pushes for abortion is a group called Planned Parenthood. The founder of Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger, was what's known as a eugenicist. They believed in killing off they believe in population control, which is a nice way to say they want to murder millions, if not billions, of people to supposedly preserve the earth and make the world a better place. And the people that Margaret Sanger wanted to murder were mainly minorities and immigrants. She even had a plan involving that where she would have Planned Parenthood either murder unborn children or sterilize blacks, and then have a lot of the black leaders try to hide what Planned Parenthood was doing. There's a quote attributed to her who said, "We can't let the Negro know what our plans are," or something to that effect. And you can look up and get the exact quote if you want to. Margaret Sanger was a racist eugenicist, and Planned Parenthood has put her plan into action. There's two pictures on the wall, and it's resulted in the deaths of millions of people, and many of them black, disproportionately more in terms of percentage than, not as much as whites, but disproportionately more in terms of percentage of blacks killed as regard to the general population. There's two pictures on the wall. I want to show them to you. One of them is Ronald Reagan, and I think that's him at his library. That's from Young Americans for Liberty. And Ronald Reagan did a lot to fight against the deep state. He tried to reduce the size and scope of government, but of course he had a Democrat Congress, and he tried to get rid of the Department of Education, but it wasn't able to. But he did a lot of efforts to fight against the government. And even though he was older when he was president than Joe Biden was now, he actually had his mental faculty in check. He was a lot sharper. And then the other guys is Osama bin Laden. But if you were to zoom in on it, you can see a little white spot. Those are holes inside of him. That was done via my 9mm and Jan Morgan's AR-15. I got that from the gun cave over there in Hot Springs, which is run by Jan Morgan, which is now open, by the way. Jan Morgan is the conservative we should have had for governor. She's helped out in a lot of ways in terms of gun rights and other issues. But she also has her gun range down there in Hot Springs. And that's one of the targets you can get over there. And I was there when she got the Jan Morgan AR-15. The company custom built a rifle for her It's got the American flag. I think it's decal with the American flag, and I think it has her name on it. But you can check her page for that. But I put a bunch of holes in Osama. I missed him a few times. A bullet, I think, a few times got past his ear, but most of the group in there was pretty good. I've gotten to where I can, with a rifle, do pretty good at. I usually can take down deer at about 100 yards pretty conveniently. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. Margaret Sanger's plan is killed off millions of blacks. Black Lives Matter. If Black Lives Matter, they would be there. Hey, Bruce, just talk about one of your main issues. I have seen a few blacks out there, mainly Pastor Justin Lee. He's been out there advocating for the unborn. His wife's been out there. A few other black activists, Pastor Iverson Jackson, who's talked about this issue. But for the most part, most of the black politicians, black leaders, they don't show up. They don't care. And when you try to bring these issues up regarding Black Lives Matter, they get all uppity and ignorant and angry over it. They get pissed off. They get angry if you ever say all lives matter. Somehow that's racist. They get mad if you ever bring up the fact that police killing black people is not the number one problem. It's not even nowhere near the number one problem. And it's a lie to claim that it is, or act like the number one problem facing blacks is racist cops. That's just not true. You're far more likely to, George Floyd was far more likely to be killed by a drunk illegal alien or some dude getting a shooting over cocaine, or more likely to have been aborted than be killed by Derek Chauvin. That's just statistically the same way with Trayvon Martin, every one of them. And of course, Trayvon Martin, this story of him, for those who don't know, I think he was either 17 or 18 kid walking home. He was on something. He had a record. And I think he was on something called drink or marijuana or a mixture of the two. And a half Hispanic Obama community organizer named George Zimmerman followed him in his truck, did neighborhood watch thing, was right to call the police because Trayvon Martin was suspicious, and then got out of his truck to confront him, which he should not have done. Yeah, that was a stupid thing to do. Trayvon Martin, thinking that George Zimmerman was probably a stalker and possibly a gay stalker, tackled him and tried to kill him by slamming his head into the concrete. George Zimmerman pulled out a .380 and shot him in the heart. Killed him. Not at the moment. If you go to Every 20 Seconds, Bria, there's a group called every20seconds.org, and they have chapters in a few states, but they keep up with when the abortion clinic is open. Usually it's open like every other Saturday. They were open for Good Friday. They violated the COVID-19 regulations that Asa Hutchinson put in place. And a matter of fact, for several days, Asa Hutchinson's Arkansas Health Department gave them a pass, wouldn't enforce the law like they did with the concert by threatening with the police. And it took activists like myself and state legislatures to actually put those in place. And I think they're still open for chemical abortions. And of course, there are other procedures that they claim that they're the only groups that can do, like exams. Hey, Julia, hope everything went well with all the conventions. I know the Republican Party of Arkansas had several district conventions. Hope everything also goes well with the headquarters there, because I know some of the BLM, they attacked the Democrat headquarters. I don't think they made it to 6th and Cross, where the Republican headquarters didn't vandalize it. But anyway, if you go to, they may have a protest tomorrow. If you sign up for them at every20seconds.org, they will give an update of when the abortion clinic is going to be open. Usually I want to say they're open like on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then Saturday. They may have reduced their time because they are not allowed to do surgical abortions, and hopefully they're being stopped from doing that. It wouldn't surprise me if they were doing it illegally. because they have no morals. They've been caught doing everything else. They've been caught cheating on their taxes. They've been caught protecting statutory rapists. They've been caught, they've been negligent in terms of causing people to die, women to die, mothers to die, in addition to children. The ambulance has been out there several times, just a Little Rock one. Of course, they got caught supporting evil people like that serial killer out there in Pennsylvania. Not Tiller, but the other one. The one that got arrested for, negligent malpractice and, several other acts. The black guy. I can't remember his name. They had a movie about him. But again, where was Black Lives Matter when that guy was killing people? Yeah, he was a serial killer. He wasn't just aborting. He had collected fetuses. I think he had like their feet or other body parts. Sanitation was horrible. At least 2 people. Gosnell. Yeah, it was Gosnell. That's where Black Lives Matter should have been. If Black Lives Matter actually cared about Black lives, they would have protesting Gosnell. They would have protested him before he got caught, and certainly would have been protesting him afterwards. And the media wouldn't have been forced to be there and cover the trial. This is Kenny Wallace. I'm on Facebook. Under this stream, you can like, share, and comment. Hit the there should be a notification button you can hit. I'm also on YouTube, Keep Arkansas Legal, HugeTube, Keep Arkansas Legal. I'm on Parler and Gab, which are alternative media sites. I'm YouTube live streaming this right now. And then I don't have any followers on there, at least local ones. And then I'm on Twitter, Kenny_NLR, but I haven't used it as much. But I'm talking about, BLM, and I honestly would like to ask them. I think they should all be asked this by every media outlet. Do you care about Black lives, or do you care about hating whites, America, and Trump? Which one is it? And we have a lot of fake people and organizations that do the same thing. Sadly, we have a lot of fake Christians that do the same thing. They call themselves Christians, but they don't have a relationship. They don't take a stand. They don't do anything to advance the kingdom of God. We have these fake environmentalist groups that, say, we're about the environment, and then they let Solyndra, waste millions of dollars on a solar panel scam, and then solar panels that are things that are supposed to save us from climate change are being thrown in the dumpster. They don't care. We have a lot of fake people, fake organizations that claim to be something or not. We have these hedonist anarchist people that think if we legalize drugs and disband the military, or will somehow everything will be okay. They call themselves libertarians. They claim they're better for gun rights and taxes than conservative Republicans. But when it comes to actually debates on those issues, they're rarely around. Of course, we have Republicans in name only called rhinos, and they like to pretend to be conservative, brag about how conservative they are. They have to get the Chamber of Commerce to pay for slick mailers and have PR gurus come out and dress them up with gun uniforms and maybe some hunting gear, and have them, hold a pistol on a video or put it on a placard so they can say they're pro Second Amendment, and then they stab us in the back regarding gun rights. Our governor brags about how he got this and that rating from the National Rifle Association, and by the way, they've been fake for a long time too. And then he sabotaged a campus carry reform. He's ordered his state police and other departments to keep confusion regarding the right to open carry, the right to constitutional carry. I'm sorry. And by the way, constitutional carry means that you can carry this open or concealed without a permit. You do not need a piece of paper or permission from any government entity in order to carry this on your person, except in government buildings. You're supposed to have enhanced carry if you go into some buildings. Hey, Gina. But you don't need it in order to You don't need permission from the government in order to carry it on your person. We've tried to pass like castle doctrine laws, and they get killed in committee. Every time there's a conservative piece of legislation, it gets rescheduled, and we have to push and prod and try to get people to, try to get our state legislators to show up. We have had some success in defeating rhinos here. John Cooper, the rhino up there in Jonesboro, who kicked me and in a state county chair out of his public meet and greet that was actually run by a hospital bureaucrat from St. Bernard Hospital. Michael Givens, I think was his name, and by an aide to Senator Tom Cotton, the first district aide up there. I think Justin Moore, somebody Moore. We kicked him out of office thanks to activists like myself and the Northeast Arkansas Tea Party. We replaced him with a conservative and Dan Sullivan. And then there was another guy up there named Cole Peck, and he was also a puppet of the Republican in name only Chamber of Commerce, Deep State, Good Old Boy Network, and he tried to get a state rep seat, and we kept him from doing that. There was one guy we went on there named Bobby Long, and he didn't get the nomination, but in a primary runoff, we had another guy who got that position. And so, unlike Black Lives Matter, local conservative activists like the Highwaymen, like your local Tea Party group, like some of your gun rights groups, they actually do care about things that actually matter that they claim to care about. Unlike the National Rifle Association, who care more about, Wayne LaPierre's shopping sprees with his wife. The Gun Owners of America actually will fight for your rights. And then here locally at Arkansas Act 746, or Patriots of Act 746. And then there's groups like them in Oklahoma as well. Oklahoma has a group called Ecclesia. They're actually having a primary in Oklahoma on June the 30th. That's one of those little elections there, and there's one lady that they're trying to run against a rhino there who apparently is a pro-abortion rhino. If you type in Oklahoma pro-life or Oklahoma Ecclesia, you should be able to see the name there. Georgia, I think you already had your primary, if I'm not mistaken. I can't keep up with all the primaries in all the states. I just know about Oklahoma. Some events that are coming up before I wrap this up. June 9th, if you know anybody or in Jacksonville, Arkansas, Ward 1, Patrick Thomas is a conservative activist been fighting for a long time there. He has his own live stream called Arkansas Live or Ladder Talks. If you type in Patrick Thomas as the way it's spelled, Jacksonville, Arkansas, you should be able to find his Facebook page. He does a update on what's going on there. He's been fighting a long time there against the local crooks there. He's running for Jacksonville City Council, Ward 1. Early voting has already started. Regular election will be June 9th. And that's going on. I actually forgot an event till now, so I'll timeline back to Saturday, which is today's the 14th, 15th, 16th. June 16th in Marshall, Arkansas is the Marshall, Arkansas Gun Show, which will also feature training from Jan Morgan, who I mentioned before, and I think she has a organization called 2A Women. I don't know if their organization is going to be up there, but they're going to have training seminars on how to hold a firearm, what to do if you have to use your firearm, how to pick a holster, these things that a lot of people need. We need a lot less. A lot of people need to stop buying their 12th AR-15 and start training a lot more. Get gun insurance. Get a couple of alarms and other things to get food and water, prepare for something goes bad. A lot of people need to train themselves, not just buy a bunch of 20, 30 guns and have a big old safe and not know how to use them. A lot of people need to get pocket pistols. Basically, the overall thing is get a firearm that you can wear comfortably and that you can shoot regularly. You get a tiny pocket pistol, but you never use it. It's kind of may not be the best thing to carry on you constantly. So that's June 16th, and then, or wait, what date is it? I looked on the wrong date here. I'm sorry. Today's June 4th. That's June 6th. I tried to look on my calendar, and this stupid thing wouldn't show it to me. It's on my phone. Because today's the 4th, is the 6th. I'm trying to pull up my calendar here. And then next Saturday, there it is. Next Saturday, the 13th, is nothing. What is that big rally? There is a big Arkansas for Trump rally, and I want to say it's June the 16th. Or is it the 14th? Crap, I'm trying to remember when that stupid rally is. There's a big Trump, it's Flag Day. It will be Flag Day, and it will be Trump's birthday, and it's also a big rally at the Arkansas State Capitol. There may be other rallies all across the nation, but this is the one I know about. It's and I want to say it's June the 14th, which is not this coming Sunday, but the following Sunday at 2 p.m., and they are going to have a bunch of activists. Jan Morgan's supposed to speak there. Pastor Iverson Jackson is supposed to speak there. Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin is supposed to speak there as well. And that's an event you can like, share, and way that you can get involved with other people, like-minded people, learn about your local politicians, see, where they stand, learn how to, make a difference in your city council, in your city and county, quorum court, find out who your sheriff is, those really important things that actually matter. Here it is, June 14th, 2 p.m., National Trump Rally. Matter of fact, I can copy this and just put it on this feed so y'all can have it. And yes, it is National Flag Day. They're going to be doing, they're going to mail in cards, all kinds of stuff. I can assure you it will be less violent than the Black Lives Matter protest. They won't have to remind people to pick up their trash because Tea Party activists already do that. So there's the big leak there. Of course, Dave Ellswick is going to be the MC. Speaking of which, you can listen to Dave Ellswick's show every weekday from 6 to 9 a.m. And if you miss it because you're like me and you're not a morning person, it turns into a video on the Dave Ellswick Show Facebook page where you can listen to it there. You can also listen to Doc Washburn. He comes on from 2 to 6 p.m. on KRN News Radio. Oh, by the way, Dave Ellswick is 101.1 FM The Answer. So if you're not in front of the internet, you want to use the old-fashioned radio, you can do that. And I think they have their own webpage as well. And then from 2 to 6 p.m., switch over to 102.9 FM KRN News Radio, where you have Doc Washburn. He also talks about local issues. He's on from 2 to 6. He doesn't do Facebook live stream, but on KRN, I think they have their own web page that has like recordings of what he talks about. Anyway, that's about it. I'm a little parched for water, so I got to do like Rubio. But actually, I got to take care of some stuff planned for the weekend. I got a lot of other stuff having to juggle here regarding a busted lawnmower, broke down truck. The truck has actually been, hopefully will be sold later on. Missing title for truck, which I think we just found. I need to change. Hopefully, if I change the spark plug in my gas-powered lawnmower, it'll work, although I'm thinking about switching over to a push one or electric because it's just so much easier. What else? Paying bills, so I'm doing my regular job. Speaking of which, if you want to, and I'll post this here, it's just my last thing, to help fund more video projects, you can go to Fundly. What's that? so far, I haven't had a problem with it. I used to have a, hey, Carissa, I used to have a GoFundMe page, and it kind of crapped out on me. I think it expired, and when I tried to renew it or redo it, it said it wouldn't accept me. So I think they've had like some, I don't know, censorship on there or something. I don't know, but doesn't matter. You have a great night too, Gina. Thanks, Miss Miami. Yes, Juneteenth is it's Juneteenth. It's Flag Day, and as I said before, it'll be a Trump rally. I'm talking to people on YouTube. So if you're in the state of Arkansas, go there. If you're not, check and see if there is one of those rallies in another state in your neck of the woods, so to speak. But I'm going to upload some edited videos of this on YouTube. I just cut it down to smaller sections. And, of course, I post it on there. And YouTube, I don't think, does live streaming, so I'm going to post it on there as well. But anyway, y'all have a good day. Have a good weekend. Stay safe. God, guns, and glory. Keep them all with you. Learn how to use them. We can take this country back. There's a lot more of us than there are of these fake groups like Black Lives Matter who don't care about Black lives. We, the people, care more about Black lives and all lives, far more than they do. We just need to prioritize and focus our efforts into fighting these fake, non-American leftist cowards that don't need to be in this country. I'm sure a lot of people in the Black Lives Matter movement are real decent people. They just don't know better. But it appears that the leadership is, hurting us. And that's about it. So y'all have a good evening. And that's it.